Okay, I don't know what that was. So this is not my typical content when I'm on YouTube. I haven't made YouTube stuff in forever. I might get a hair at my ass and put this in other places besides YouTube. So if you're hearing the word YouTube and you're not watching on YouTube, I've gotten a hair in my ass and I've put it in other places. This is mostly for the people on Reddit who have seen screenshots of my builds and wanted to have a tour of that. I don't do base tours. I've gone and paused time here so that way it stays daylight and everything. But this is new for me. I've never done a tour, so I really don't know what to show you. I've tried doing a tour here just a second ago. It's like a test run to see if it, like, what the flow is going to be. It takes a half hour to get through this whole base at the pace that I was doing it. So we're going to try to speed run this shit. And if you want a video on a specific part of it, let me know, and then I'll focus on that. But this is just going to be the gist of it, okay? So, like, here's the house. We built around hot springs. I have a bridge that goes over those hot springs. I like chiseling plumbing to make it look like we're doing something with the water that goes into the house. This does keep us warm in the winter because I have it going indoors. This is our living room, which has the balcony and then a chandelier with a skylight. Some of this stuff is unfinished. Like, there's still stuff to put in places, but the gist is here. I'm a big fan of this bathroom. Again, plumbing. This keeps us warm. Big, huge fan of this mirror I chiseled. This is where my wife goes in and sifts in this water, because if you get in that water, it's too spicy. Storage for tools and stuff. This is the kitchen with my assortment of cow tools that I have chiseled. This is the larder. All these have crates underneath for storage. This sink doesn't actually let me throw stuff in it. I can only get water out of it. So over here I have a water closet for washing dishes that end up getting rot or something like that in them. If you go upstairs, again, a lot of stuff is unfinished. But if you go up here, there's going to be a fish tank and like a little reading area in here, which we've kind of just made look cluttered for now. Here is our master bedroom. Kinks included. This is our blow-up doll. I like this I like the column. I like that. You come down here. This is like the getting ready room and everything like that. And then this is our cellar, which this is a cellar. This is another little larder. If you come down here, this is a cellar that I am free to expand both ways. This is a cellar that I'm free to expand both ways. And this will be the wine cellar once I get around to actually building it. We drink so much wine in that bedroom that there's never any wine to store. And if you come up here, this is where we just store random shit to be sold to traders and everything. This used to be our pit kiln. This used to be our main smithy, but now it's kind of an artifact of what we were doing. This is where our fletching happens. We make arrows right there. That's where the stuff to store arrows is made. Tannery. Little loom I made for the textiles. We got, flax fibers and twine and all that stuff hung up. Place to store the pelts. Barrels. These right here are also barrels. I like this a lot. Not sure what I'm going to store here. This is where we make paper. Over here is the charcoal kilns. I like building them this way. I've seen this in historical sites, and I've also seen it in like city builders and RTS games, Age of Empires, Farthest Frontier, things like that. I like making them look grimy. This is the sawmill, which I make look like it has, mechanics involved, like there's a chain to help facilitate the pulling of the log with the water, all the gear work and, rope work for that. Here is what essentially is set up like a CNC machine. Like you got, don't touch that dial, but there's this knob here and this lever. And this is the saw that cuts. There's the water coming down from a wooden aqueduct, which comes up from this other aqueduct, which is implied that water is pumped out of the ground up into there and then is distributed via gravity. That's where we plant all the trees. The only ones standing right now are the redwoods. Here is our saw pit. Here is our wood chopping station, log storage, and this is right next to the charcoal bit. And initially, this was all just a hill that we have now built up into not being a hill, but this is where the forging was happening. Up here is the pulverizer, and this is where all that stuff gets crushed. This kern is where we grind things. The kern and the pulverizer are still used, But the forge has been basically relegated over to that factory, which we'll get to in a second. Oh, we're only at 5 minutes. We're moving much faster this time in this attempt for me to do this. This may be the one that I published. Our original bloomeries, I like the dual smokestacks. Big fan of that. Storing of the goods. You run down here. Not sure what's going to go here yet, but this is where we store random building material, odds and ends, planks, boards, whatever the fuck I need to store. And then actually, I'm doing a lot of running. Outside here is more storage, and it's implied that there's places for more storage to go. Come down here. You are now behind our beehive kilns. Big fan of those boys. There's going to be more storage down here. You can never have enough storage in this fucking game. Beehive kilns, storage for the different things they get made, different colored bricks, raw, cooked, storing of shingles. This is where you put the charcoal in for the beehive kiln and all that shit. This is our newer pit kiln that we made before the beehive kiln, but after we moved the original pit kiln. Because it's still nice when you don't care about the color of things to be able to just mass produce what you need in here without having to risk breaking the beehive kiln, because it does take damage when you use it. And it was the construction of this building specifically right here that made me realize that we're going to need something to make plates, which is what led to the creation of the factory. But this right here is where we make like glue, calcined flint, quicklime. This building helps facilitate that. It's mostly storage, but there is a place to do some stuff. Over here is more of that. I wanted it to look like a distillery or what have you, to look like it's doing something. And I feel like I accomplished that pretty well, especially with the pipe theoretically carrying the water from up there to over here. And like I said, if you want me to slow down on any of this, I can definitely make another little video. But here is a cauldron, a vat, where it's implied that we boil this and like we can cook calcined flint or something down here in these fires. Over here is a quarry, which is really just an excuse to function as a storage place for us to keep the different stones that we harvest. Here's where the dyes are made. And then my magnum opus, which there's still more to show you, but this is the latest thing and the thing I'm most proud of. We cheated a little bit using creative mode to get a couple of items. Like I really wanted this thing to be in here, so I took it. I also really wanted that thing, so I took it. And I also really wanted this thing, so I took it. But mostly this is now where we do the forging. It does have its own charcoal kiln. It does have helve hammer set up in different configurations. That way plates and ingots are being finished at staggered times. And that way all these that are going, anytime one's done, it has somewhere to go. And usually when the way I have this set up, when I have an ingot on here and it's being made, and then I put the next bloom after the ingot, pops out. When I put the bloom on there, oftentimes the finished ingot will fall, or plate will fall into this water and start quelching on its own. But I do have to come through and pick them up regularly, because as long as it takes me to get to a full stack of blooms from doing all this shit, they'll despawn or something, because I'm not getting as much from it as I should be. But this is where all the ingots and, well, you can see here, this is where the pourable ingots are made in this little assembly line, factory machine looking thing. And then the pourables happen here. And then while that's cooling, we will just put the blooms on here, have them hammered into ingots. And then those ingots can be made into plates as we need it. I'm tempted to go further with the factory that way, though I don't know what I will make. Up this get out of my way. Up this staircase is going to, I looked at a ladder and said staircase. Up that ladder is storage. Up that ladder is storage. Up this ladder is going to be storage. And up this staircase is going to be more storage through this whole line of shit here. I'm telling you, I keep running out of storage. I need a fuck ton of storage. And I have to finish the staircase and shit to get up here. But that's the factory. Real proud of it. Might have to make a whole video just for that. Over here, the water falls from where it is implied that it is pumped up, goes across where those windmills are, and then it falls down in this lake, comes through here, maybe gets filtered or something, goes down through here, powers this maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of gears and pipes and stuff to look like it's complicated. But ultimately, it results in this having irrigation. We have sprinklers, and the supports and some pipes cover the one block water holes that you'll typically see in these farms. But I wanted to cover them up and have it be interesting, so I made it look like it's a irrigation sprinkler system with pressurized water. And you can see that I have, like, you know, little manhole covers scattered throughout that look like they're doing something to facilitate that. I have some smaller yard lawn sprinklers looking things right there. Grist mill, purely for grinding. This is a current in here, purely for grinding up grain and salt as well. Over here, some more of the farm, cattails, beehives. This is where we store all the bee related stuff. This is our granary, which is just a giant stone tower where I can, because, you know, cellars don't have to be underground. It's just a cellar that I've taken above ground, made it look like a tower, and this is where I store all the animal feed, basically. That's all it's been used for. Chicken pen yard thing, which they're not laying eggs. I probably need to feed them again. Oh, they do have eggs up here, though. Okay. Pigs, sheep. I like having a little bit of everything. I don't want to be without. I got my males separated. That way I never accidentally killed the last male. Oh my god. I need to come over here and tend to this. These motherfuckers are breeding like some kind of animal that breeds quickly. Barn for parkour. Barn for storage, which mostly is just dry grass right now. Goats, more cattails. This is my vinery, which I like that you can stack the berries or the currant bushes. I wish that you could stack them 3 tall to really complete the vinery look. I like making it look like a vineyard. That's, in my opinion, that's the only way to set up your berry bushes other than placing them around decoratively. This is where the rot and fertilizer and all that stuff is taken care of. This is the orchard where we grow fruit trees. More pumping looking stuff, pump up the jam. And this is my the winery that the vineyard supplies. You can see I got some barrels chiseled. I got a little valve right there. Lining up the fruit, having multiple fruit presses that you can just stage up and then go through and squeeze out definitely speeds up the process. Don't trick yourself into thinking that just if you're by yourself or with one other person that you only need one fruit press. Line up a whole wall of them. And I did 5 here because 5 buckets is a stack. But, I mean, you can do as many as you want. But this is so much faster than working with just one. I promise you. Scaling up production makes a world of difference. But I got the pipes coming through here to make it look like, I don't know, maybe it's pressurized and you can just flip a switch or turn a valve and it will just use hydraulics to press things itself. At least that's the implication I was going for. And then you can roll the barrels down here. I chiseled this motherfucker myself. I did spawn this one in just to compare. It's kind of weird how similar they are, but I think I like mine better. I also chiseled these guys. I wish barrels and chests came in the different woods available, but I went with ebony because I love the way the ebony wood looks. The idea here is that you can just float these barrels across. I'm in creative to show this off. Float the barrels across. I seem to have fucked that up. I need to redo that. Yeah, I don't like the way that looks. That needs to be different. Float the barrels across to get them over here. And then roll them up and store them, whatever. Just the implication of it all. And the last building in this, well, last 2 buildings in this speed run are going to be the butchery and the bakery. The butchery is just where I store the barrels for salting the meat and also pickling the vegetables. You can see here, I got this all prepped up. I do kind of like this fireplace over here, though. More water. This is just a room for salting. It's the assault room. And then the most recent addition, sans the factory itself, would have to be the bakery. This is where we're going to be making. This is where I'm going to store things to make like jams and the cheeses and the breads. Just because I don't want to deal with it in the kitchen. The kitchen's going to be like for quick food making. But I have this set up. I'm going to have the proportions set out here, and then the bowl and the jug and the buckets are going to be divided up here with their materials in them respectively to make producing these things easy. I do only have one cooking spot, and then, you know, the 6 bakeries, but I think this is, I might end up changing out the number of each, but I think this is going to work out well from my testing. And then here's where we're going to be storing the cheese to age. And I did kind of lie, because there is one more building, because if all of our cash gets dropped in here, and then it gets sent down a pipe, and then down here in the middle of our garden, ignore that trapped rabbit, he just cannot get out. All this shit, this is going to be more storage, but it is not finished. I like this. This is, I don't know, I like it. You come down here, and this is our vault. I went with like a kind of Fallout 4 looking thing. You can see like the implication of the locking mechanism here and the different, like, I love this. I love this. This is my favorite thing. But the implication is that this door closes, and it's a vault. And I kind of set it up like a bank. Just go in here, check all this shit out. I think the way we're doing it, the vessels store rusty gears, and the big chests are going to store our temporal gears. And I think I'm gonna knock this wall down and expand it and have like display cases full of like emeralds and diamonds and shit like that. And then we also have, you know, some crystals spotted around, some broken pipes. Looks like maybe the plumbing comes through here every once in a while. And then there's like an underwater river, guys, an underground river. But that's the tour. I think I'm just over 15 minutes. I'm gonna fucking wrap it up. If you guys want to see more details about it, I will happily make a tour going over that specific build or that specific area if you'd like, but I could not do a 30-minute video showing this place off. So if there's more you want to see, let me know. If not, I will straight go fuck myself. Thank you and have a great day.